Are Manchester United going to try and hijack the Anderson deal to City? And are they going to try and do this by offering Anderson a contract which is going to be better than anything offered by Manchester City? That's some of the stories that have been put out there. There's a few different sources to go by for this one. It keeps being put out there in the media, and I keep seeing this every single day, that Manchester United still regard Anderson as a top target, but at the moment, it does look a bit like they're letting City do all the work. Manchester City put an offer in, rumoured to be about £80 million, I think 80 to £85 million. That was refused by Nottingham Forest. And the rumours are that City are going to go back in with a second offer. I'm guessing that's going to be close to £100 million. Manchester United at the moment, according to sources in Nottingham as well, these are a few journalists writing in Nottingham local papers. They think that there's going to be a bit of a twist in the deal, and they think this is not going to take down the route. It's not going to be Manchester United offering more money to Nottingham Forest. It's almost like we're waiting for City to agree a deal, and then maybe Manchester United are looking to try and offer a better contract. At the moment, I think City, there was a rumour that City were going to offer a 5-year contract about 250. I've seen reports that maybe it might be closer to 300. Like, would Manchester United be breaking their wage structure, which is quite a recent one? Would they be looking to make Elliot Anderson one of the most expensive paid, one of the best paid players at the club, which would probably put him probably second only to Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes might also be getting a new deal at some point. So this for me is going to be one where we're going to have to wait and see what happens if Man United do go for this. We do know that in terms of like wage structure, that Sancho's contract will be off the books. We're pretty much assuming that Marcus Rashford's salary will be off the books. Casemiro's salary 100% off the books. So United have essentially freed up a lot of space in terms of like how much they're spending on transfers. And again, this would be a massive deal if they did do this. Even like a 200k a week salary is still going to put him in line with like some of the top earners at Manchester United. And that was still also, if you factor in a £100 million fee, which is probably going to be what it takes to get this deal done, it's going to be a huge spend. I suppose one of the questions would be is that is this a sort of deal Man United should go for? In the past, if you look back over historical deals, Manchester United have been like quite often breaking transfer records when they were signing people like Andy Cole, Rio Ferdinand, getting youngsters like Rooney and Ronaldo. So is this what Man United used to do, and should they be doing this as well? So I'll jump into the comments and we'll go through a few more of the stories that have been discussed as well. See what people think regarding this one. I say you read somewhere that also BXU Real said I've read somewhere that Anderson is asking 150k. Ineos decided to go for him as we can afford it. So everything about his wages speculation at this moment in time. I think I'll say this. I think a lot of speculation regarding the wage, regarding this one as well. I think a lot of this expectation is going to be that Manchester United are probably going to be. We're in a situation where we can offer more salary than we're offering players. We're in a situation where we can spend a decent amount of money. And are we going to be looking at getting a smaller number of players, but looking at getting the very, very best? So I've said this as well, that there's definitely two kind of schools of thought, isn't it? Some people will say we've got a lot of things we need to fix in our team. We need to get left back, left wing, etc. And we can look at lots of areas. But how would Man United fans feel if Manchester United went, right, we're going to buy the very best possible midfielders, like too many's not available, he's going to stay at Real Madrid. Who's the next best player we could get, or who's the best player we could get? And if we're going to spend big, because I'm actually starting to look at the Fernandes deal. I think if Mateus Fernandes is going to cost 85 million, prices are going crazy. I think you need to look at this. Say, if all prices are going to be very expensive, but you're not going to get cheap deals anymore. If you're looking in the Premier League, you're going to have to spend quite big. So, I mean, if Elliot Anderson wants 150k, I say give it. Like, of course, we're going to give it to him. If he wants 200k, he's going to get that, isn't he? He's going to be, a very sought after player as well. I'll just go for a couple of comments, but I also want to say massive thanks to Neil for upgrading membership. Thank you, Neil. Your support over years has been massively appreciated, and I'm hoping to do a call-in show. But I've got a few things going on behind the scenes that mean that I'm not sure if I can do it on midweek unless I do something early in the daytime rather than in the evening. So I might try and do that. But always a pleasure to chat to you, Neil. And thank you for your support over the years. Stephanie says Manchester United offering Anderson the number 7 shirt might be something that could swing it. One of the things I would say as well, if you're looking at Manchester United and the offer that we might make Elliot Anderson, is you probably have to forget what's happened in the previous 5 years, because Manchester United the previous 5 years clearly were not at the same level City have been, but maybe the gap has closed quite a lot, and there's a bit of uncertainty over Man City. There's a lot of uncertainty over what's going to happen with Maresca in charge instead of Pep. So maybe Anderson might have been like, it might be like it's a mercenary move. He might be holding out for the best possible deal. But I'll go for a couple of stories. I'll put this article on briefly. I know people don't want to see pictures of Jim Radcliffe too much, so we will move past this quite shortly. But there has been a kind of thought process at Manchester United that they are looking at trying to get deals done at a sensible value. But in terms of like this, there's a couple of journalists now writing, and there's a few sources as well. A lot of it's coming from like Nottingham-based newspapers as well, saying that Jim Radcliffe's given the green light, and Jim Radcliffe is going to be one of the people that's drawing this deal forward. So in terms of people that actually have the ability to get money moving at Manchester United, Jim Radcliffe is supposedly supposed to be one of the driving forces for this deal. So again, it seems a bit like, when we question ambition and we look at this one as well, that maybe what's saying here is maybe Manchester United are actually going to be pushing forward with this deal, because it does say that, I know everybody looking at sources, Man United have said that they are prepared to go big if they see there's a market where they think there's one elite player in that position that you go for. And it could be that Mateus Fernandes was maybe people thought Mateus Fernandes was a cheap deal, like say 55 to 60. Maybe if that's genuinely going to be closer to 70, and Tonali's going to be closer to 100 as well, then for me, Elliot Anderson might be actually better valued than both those players. So it might be that the salary demands, to be honest, that Man United spent 300k on Sancho, 300k on Rashford. So if they're looking at 300k on Elliot Anderson, for me, that's actually a lot better value for money. So I'm not saying it would be 300k, but there could be a few things in line with like this. I mean, the number 7 shirt, I mean, if he gets Brian Robson's shirt, I mean, to be honest, I'd be honestly interested to see what happens if Man United do go in. And again, we may not have to actually offer more than Man City. We might just have to put the same offer on the table, and then it's up to Anderson. But it might be that if Man United tried to offer a contract that was significantly lower than City, I think we've got no chance. If we actually go in with the same, that maybe there's a different situation there. I have got a poll running in the comments, and so please, if you got, please click vote on this one and let me know what you guys are thinking. Because at the moment, for me, it's generally going to be 50-50. I don't see any situation where he stays at Nottingham Forest now. Clearly, there's going to be bids coming in. Clearly, we can see like City are going to be, City will offer 100 million. That's going to be, genuinely going to be it's going to be probably getting the deal close to being done, and it's up to Man United to match that offer, isn't it? So we also have to match the contract offer. Would people be happy if Manchester United spend a bit more than City on the contract? I think, to be honest, I don't mind too much. I think it's about getting the best possible players at United. And we've been saying this for years. Man United need to show ambition. Like, there's no point in having a media campaign where you say this is our top target. You got to eventually you got to start landing some of these top targets. Otherwise, it's going to be completely pointless. So it's going to be a bit like the boy that cried wolf. If Man United every single transfer window we have a top target and we never get them, there's literally no point in putting that information out there, is there? Big up to you, Jim. Thank you for renewing your membership. Appreciate you supporting the channel as well. And I hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good weekend as well. Cake says, if you really want Anderson, you have to pay up. It's really simple. If you think he's overpriced, then you don't want him badly enough, says Cake. Are we getting to the stage where, and big up to you, Bilal, are we getting to the stage where every single player we're looking at, like every single player we're talking about, is going to be very high money? So are we actually having a conversation now where if we're looking at the Edison deal, which is a done deal for 35 million, is that actually looking like a bit better value? I mean, Hayden Hackney was rumoured to be about 35 million. Are we going to potentially see him go for like increased money? Are we going to see Alex Scott go from like a 50 valuation to like 60, 65? Are we going to start seeing every single player cost maybe 10 million, maybe 20 million pounds more than we thought a couple of weeks ago? I think there is a danger that the transfer window might go a bit crazy, and it might be that in terms of if you want to get a cheap deal, I don't think you can get anything done in the Premier League now that is remotely cheap. I think you have to look across in Europe, and even then, European teams are actually putting like big price tags on players because they know the Premier League teams have got money. So it's getting more and more difficult to actually get any sort of cheap deal at all. So uh, looking at this, I'll go for a few of the comments and see what people are thinking as well. That I'm not going to say Anderson's a cheap deal because it's crazy money, but you have to consider it in terms of like what other deals are available. Funchy says it's going to be 250k a week. If it's 250, I think it's absolutely fine. Say Ian says you personally think Anderson is as significant a signing as Robson was all those years under Big Ron? I honestly can't remember how much money Brian Robson cost, but no, he was a pivotal signing, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure there wasn't Big Ron manager of West Brom before Man United. So was that a case of Big Ron being aware of how good Robson was? Or to be honest, that's a bit before my time, so I don't really know the situation. The situation I would compare it with at the moment is not because he's at Forest, but for me, this has all the hallmarks of like the Roy Keane situation, Manchester United versus Blackburn. And when Manchester United were getting the deal done for Roy Keane was pretty much agreed to go to Blackburn Rovers, wasn't he? So that was almost a done deal. Kenny Dalglish thought the deal was done, and Manchester United effectively got Alex Ferguson involved. And this is what you have to do. If Manchester United were Elliot Anderson, we need Michael Carrick, Jim Radcliffe, whoever is going to be making the decisions to actually go there, speak to Anderson. Essentially, we need to give him an offer he can't refuse. That's what we need to do. If it's going to take 300k a week, I think United have to do it. Like a player that could be Man United for the next decade. If you miss out on him, you're going to play against him for the next decade as he's a player for City. Also, I think we can offer an unbelievable move to Man United where we could be on the up, but we do need to get deals like this done. So I think with like Ian said, I don't disagree. I think it does feel a bit like that, doesn't it? It feels like we've got to be trying to get this deal done at 1.5 million. Yeah, no, I was thinking that's actually if you think 1.5 million, and I can't remember actually the year it was because again, like I said, I'm not sure what year Brian Robson signed for West Brom. I know he's an incredible player in the 80s for Man United. I kind of saw the 90s version of Brian Robson, but maybe that's going to be, was that very late 70s or something like that, very early 80s? But no, 1.5 million then. And I guess Trevor Francis has broken the transfer record as £1 million a bit before that. So no, I think with this one, it does feel pivotal, doesn't it? It feels like these sort of deals that if you miss out on it, there's literally no backup. So regarding Mateus Fernandes, as far as I know, Bilal, I don't think there's any change in that one. A lot of it's gone quiet. The only thing I see about Mateus Fernandes is that West Ham are kind of digging their heels in regarding the price, and it's starting to look like West Ham are just going to be making Man United wait. So I'm not sure at the moment that there's any other team actually significantly interested in Mateus Fernandes available to do a deal. But what it might be is that for Man United, what more can they do? If they don't want to pay £80 million, they probably just have to wait. West Ham do need to sell. West Ham do need to bring some money in. So I don't know what people think regarding this one. That it does seem a little bit like maybe the Mbeumo deal, where if there's no significant interest, and I don't think any other clubs are actually going to be looking to spend £80 million on Matheus Fernandes, maybe Man United just wait this one out. That if there's no other clubs that are going to be actually in talks with West Ham at this point in time, maybe we have to wait. It's a bit annoying, but maybe we do have to wait. Now, maybe with Manchester United, that I think Matheus Fernandes is excellent, and I'd love us to sign him. If we bought Elliot Anderson, then would that change the situation? Like if we got Elliot Anderson in the team, he would be for a lot of people our number one target. Would Matheus Fernandes then would we pivot towards Alex Scott potentially? I'm not saying that I think it's a better option or a worse option, but would there be a chance where if Man United think that Matheus Fernandes is going to cost 70, there's no for us there's no reason to not try and look at other options as well. I mean, Alex Scott might well be off the table with Liverpool interest anyway, so it's a tricky one to call. But thank you for the super chat, Bilal. Appreciate your support. So I'll go through a few of the comments. A big up to you, Jeff, as well. Hope you're doing well. Um, if he gets to 80% of Robson, yeah, Robson's a legend, isn't he? So I think that's kind of the thing that Man United have got in terms of like try and look at it. Like Man United are going to be hoping that any player that comes in, there's always going to be loads of hype. There's always going to be a lot of expectation. But I think to like when you compare him to like Brian Robson or someone like that, then yeah, big up to Stephanie. You'll know more about Brian Robson than me in the early days. I mean, Brian Robson was one of my favourite players when I started supporting Man United, but I feel like I might have missed some of like his heyday. I think there was a definitely a game against Barcelona. Was it like 1983, which bit early for me, but no. If he could get close to Brian Robson, unbelievable. And welcome Clive as well. I guess Clive, I don't know if you've got any updates on Liverpool side of it, Alex Scott, because at the moment, I think a lot of people are starting to see some targets being taken off the table. Then this is going to be one where I think the Elliot Anderson deal, and anything that's going to happen with it. I think a lot of people were thinking that Elliot Anderson deal was going to be done after the World Cup. It looks like Manchester City, Manchester United have no interest in waiting until after the World Cup. So again, I thought that the reason for the delay would have been that Nottingham Forest want to push the price, push the interest up, and try and get a bidding war between United and City. You might get a bidding war, but it might be a bidding war in terms of like terms for the player. So if Man United want to win this deal, we don't win it by offering City more money. By offering Forest more money, we win it by offering Elliot Anderson a better contract or a better option than Man City. So that's going to be a different sort of bidding war. I think most fans don't seem to care too much about salaries in the same way as transfer fees. So if if Manchester United offered Elliot Anderson just hypothetically 250, 300k, and that's what it took to get the deal done, would you be happy with that? I would take the view that, to be honest, I do not mind how much they pay the players if they're good players. The only question I had before was when we gave Sancho a massive contract and he'd never kicked the ball in the Premier League, that was a bit of a risk. If you look at Elliot Anderson, he looks like an incredible player on the pitch at the moment. He is improving a lot. I see the mentality in Anderson as well. We played Forest like right near the end of the season. Forest had not much to play for. I guess Eddie Anderson was putting himself in the shop window, but he played very well in a team that was massively under strength compared to Man United. We dominated that game, but Eddie Anderson made that game very competitive with his 2 assists. So he played really well in a team that's underperforming, pretty much like Roy Keane did decades ago. So I think for me that I've said this about 100 times on this channel. He's my top target, but if we don't get him, then we have to move on and look for other people as well. And welcome, Lucky, to the chat. So you're not going to entertain players that don't want us, then I don't think there's going to be necessary anyone knows what's going to happen as well. It said the bidding war may backfire badly to selling clubs. There is actually I remember actually talking to, it might have actually been Cake on some other channel. There was like, I'm trying to think if it was like United Devils channel today or whether it was like somewhere else, but there is a kind of thought process now that some of the clubs selling players are trying to push prices up really high, and they are trying to push prices up. And I'm thinking with this one that the bidding war, is it going to backfire on selling clubs? We've seen what happened with Brighton, and we've seen Brighton try and get top prices, and it hasn't worked out. So it might be that for some of these clubs, for Brighton, I guess this is the one window where loads of big clubs are interested in trying to get midfielders signed. So this is the one season where you've got Real Madrid, Manchester United, Manchester City, even like Liverpool and actually Arsenal as well. So every single club seems to be in the market for midfield players. So I think this is going to be one where, at the moment, Man United, our interest always seems to inflate the market. But maybe what could happen in the future is maybe Man United will be looking after this window. I'm guessing that we're not going to be in the market for midfield players as well. So maybe the market will soften. That's what I'm thinking as well. It's one where there's just a lot of things happening at the moment. So Anderson hasn't made a statement at all. We don't know what he really wants. No, I don't think we do know. I think when you're looking at, if you're looking at some of the super agents like Mendes, and you look at Mendes and how he deals with like his trying to think his players. So Mendes is like the agent for Mateus Fernandes. They're very careful not to say anything about what the player wants. Because if the player comes out and says he wants a club, it's like Marcus Rashford, and it's a bit like Anthony. When they come out and say they want one club, there's not, suddenly there's no interest from other clubs at all, is there? So we were talking about this last year, and when Matheus Cunha said he wanted Manchester United, as a Manchester United fan, okay, one thing is it's like a player that wants to join you is obviously good news, but then it also means that other clubs are not interested. So then it leaves Man United a clear path to get that deal done. And what we're seeing here is that uh, we've got Elliot Anderson. Lots of people think that he does want City. Again, City fans are pushing that out on the media. But I'll just say I've not read something that's come from Elliot Anderson about what he wants. I've only seen like people reporting saying they think this is what he wants. Or again, I have read the same sort of things regarding Mateus Fernandes. A few more things regarding Mateus Fernandes is that he does seem to want Manchester United, and that looks a bit more credible. That according to like more than one source now, that and this is Mendes trying to stop any news as well. So again, until they sign for the club, if Man United signed any of these players, then you can pretty much say that they wanted to join Manchester United. That has to be a factor. Otherwise, yeah, I don't want to say too much about the West Ham co-owner, but that could have been. I think that might have delayed things slightly. But to be honest, that's a little bit. So has Anderson come out and said which club he prefers in the English papers? I've not seen anything at all regarding this one. Like, I've not seen. I've only seen things on social media, but they haven't been printed in the national press. So I don't think there is any information out there. I mean, lots of people think he prefers City, but to be honest, I don't know. I couldn't say. The Romero story is not even a story, is it? Romero was what was it? It said, I think with Romero, there was a story, was it late last night, saying Man United were interested in Romero? And I can't remember who it is. It might be Simon Stone. Is it like someone came out this morning and said that story's rubbish? So there's no truth in. And again, I don't think Manchester United are even uh, supposed to be aggressively looking for centre backs in this window. So again, the Romero story is an indicator of that. Yeah, sometimes a crazy story comes out, and then when the crazy story comes out, people then move on from that very, very quickly as well. Lucky Singh says that Ineos like Tonali, Matheus Fernandes have been told, so they refuse to speak. Was it Tonali sell for 60, 65 or 7? I think Tonali's going to be, if you're talking about Matheus Fernandes might well be about 60, like maybe about 65, 70 million. We don't know that for sure, how much it's going to cost. But yeah, Mendes is going to be essentially the delay regarding Matheus Fernandes is coming down to his agent because his agent wants the best possible price. It does seem a bit at the moment like with Fernandes that what more can Mendes do? I don't see there's going to be anything coming out from Real Madrid. I don't think they're after him. I don't think Arsenal are going to be looking to get involved with the Fernandes deal. Paris Saint-Germain, I think, are going to stick with the midfield they got. And if they do, I don't think they're going to spend £70 million on a 21-year-old. So I don't know that that's. So as far as I can see, Matheus Fernandes wants Man United. It's just being delayed to try and get more interest from other clubs. So again, this is one where I think, what can United do? If they don't want to spend £80 million, we just have to wait. And then the thought is that West Ham will need the money so they will actually accept. So I think with that one, until something else comes out, we'll probably have to assume that's the state of play. If you are watching and you please make sure you vote in terms of like this one. I don't know who wrote the story about Romero. To be honest, I'm not sure, but that was kind of quite late last night. And by the time I looked at it into it, there was already stories coming out and saying Man United have got no interest in Romero. So it might be that the agent has been pushing it out information. If you remember last year, there was a lot of talk regarding certain players and links to Man United. If it's not going to be from a genuine, credible source, it might well be Romero's agent trying to get some interest in his client. So it could be that sort of story because that sort of thing does happen quite a lot, to be honest, as well. Um, a big up to you, Mike. It said, are you saying so? Let me just have a look at this one. So he's saying you wouldn't mind losing Fernandes to Madrid and get too many. What do I think? To be honest, I think too many in Fernandes. if Man United got one of those players, I'd probably be happy either way. If Man United got too many, I'm kind of looking at the experience he's got, the leadership qualities he's got, and it would be a great signing. Also, I think too many hits the ground running. If we've seen what he can do in the Champions League, he would be a really experienced player, quality player to get. If Man United got too many, I would be happy. If Man United got Fernandes, I'm also I think I'm very happy with that player as well. I think he's a very good signing. Too many might potentially be quite a bit more expensive. Like if you think Fernandez may be £70 million, too many is going to be at least like it's going to be more than that, isn't he? But too many salary demands. I would not be surprised if they're somewhat double Mateus Fernandes demands. Like he's already getting what about 250 when you consider bonuses and Champions League football every single season. So I think Man United would have to spend Casemiro money to get too many at least, and I think that would be tricky. If United looking, if United are seriously going to be offering a contract to Elliot Anderson that is going to be of that sort of bracket as well, of like maybe the 250, 300k, then can they do that with too many as well? It would seem like an outrageous midfield, wouldn't it? If Man United got too many and Eddie Anderson, you're going to be spending at least what 600k a week on salaries. But the way I would look at it, if Manchester United gave too many 300k instead of giving Casemiro 300k, and you give Elliot Anderson 300k instead of Sancho, who's effectively been out of the club anyway, so he hasn't made any contribution, and you could look at Mateus Fernandes, he's going to get half of what Rashford gets. So our wage bill could still be going down, and we could still be massively increasing in quality. So I don't mind. To be honest, if Mateus Fernandes, I think Mateus Fernandes makes a bit more sense financially in the short term. Too many, though, where I think too many changes the game and expectation for Man United. If we got too many in our team, I think people would be expecting, again, a significant improvement from this season. So, to be honest, like Mike, I don't mind which one. If we got one of those players, I would be I'd be a bit surprised if we got too many. I still think it's like no chance at all. So it was a record how fast the Romero news was squashed. I have seen a few other things as well that I can't remember what it was, but there's been a few other transfer stories that have been like come out and squashed very, very quickly. I can't remember which one it was, but there was one I think last summer that I saw it, and by the time I'd seen it, thought, okay, maybe it's worth talking about that. It had already been squashed like about an hour later. So if things do come out and things do get crushed pretty quickly in terms of like some of the news, but people will definitely change what they're thinking depending on this one. So yeah, forget about anything you've read about Romero. That I think a few people were probably responding to it late last night, possibly this morning. People might have been talking about it, but no, it was nonsense, wasn't it, as well? Cake said, "Yeah, I think too many's off the table." Um, like Cake, do you think that Man United can convince and people watching? Do you think Man United can convince Elliot Anderson that Manchester United is a better project than Manchester City? Because that's probably what it's going to come down to. If we're looking at the situation at the clubs now, then if Man United offered 300k for Elliot Anderson, assuming City are going to be prepared to offer the same amount, then still you've still got to convince the player to join you. That I'm not sure whether United or City would be prepared to go beyond that amount. I mean, it is possible that one of them might want to go a bit higher, but if you're looking at trying to get Anderson, is it going to be enough to match City? And will that be? Will you look at United? I've seen actually. I think it might have been I'm trying to think who it was. There was definitely a couple of pundits I saw this morning talking on this, and they said that they saw Man United as potentially a better option than Man City for the next 5 years, based on a lot of uncertainty about Man City, a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen after Pep leaves, a lot of uncertainty about potential charges, a lot of uncertainty. You got Silva leaving. What if Haaland decides to jump ship? Like Haaland's been at City for quite a while. I know he's under contract, but players can get moves out of the club if they want to. So what if Haaland leaves? There's a lot of kind of ifs about City that there wasn't a couple of years ago. And it might be that despite spending big in January, they still didn't really gain ground on Arsenal, and they actually fumbled quite badly towards the end, didn't they? They had quite a bad performance against Everton, and it's suggesting that some of the deals that City have done haven't really worked out as well as they want to. They have always been a bit hit and miss in the transfer market. They just signed a lot of players in, and they have got some quality in that squad. But whether the team's actually performing well, it hasn't really been this season. And now they're going to get a new manager in charge who, like Maresca, is obviously got a decent record, but I don't think he was. I don't think he was fantastic at Chelsea overall. So I think there's a lot to be said about are Man United going to be on the way up and are City going to be on the way down? That's what I'm hoping. But we have no idea about this one. So you think it comes down to two things. Can you pay his salary? Okay, I think United and City can definitely pay Anderson's salary. Winning the titles is the one thing that, okay, United can't prove that they can do that, but also Man City after Pep, are they going to be a good option? There's 2 seasons now that City haven't really been. They weren't in a title race last year when Liverpool won it. They were not really. They were getting closer to Arsenal, but they never really got too close, did they? They never really closed the gap to put enough pressure on Arsenal, and in the end, they just kind of fell away. But even though Arsenal dropped points, City weren't really able to capitalise at all. So that's 2 years, and actually, the amount of points that City are accumulating is lower. The last 2 seasons as well, Man City have been pretty poor in the Champions League as well. Arsenal have outperformed Man City both years in the Champions League. So there is definitely a few cracks appearing in Man City. So I'm just wondering like whether Elliot Anderson he's going to go in there. He is a key signing for that. But I would say at the moment, I think Man United have got a goalkeeper that's as good as City's. I think our attack is like functioning as well as City's based on what we've seen over the last like 4 or 5 months. And if we got our midfield fixed, I think also we got some younger players in City. So we are building in the right direction. I think there's definitely a tempting offer. And then says he needs to come out and say who he wants to play for. Then all this speculation on a daily basis can end. The only problem with that though is if Elliot Anderson comes out and says he wants to join City or United, it affects him financially, doesn't it? So uh, annoyingly, like the day that transfers used to be, Manchester United and Man City would both be trying to buy him from Forest, and whichever one bid the most money, Forest would be looking to sell to that club, and then Manchester United would and City would be looking to try and get personal terms agreed with the player. But at the moment, if Elliot Anderson says, right, I want to go to City, Man United are not interested, we pull out the deal, then you suddenly go to a situation where all the power shifts in favour of Man City. And in that case, then they're not going to spend crazy money to get Elliot Anderson. And to be honest, like if Elliot Anderson wants, like if he wants the best possible deal, then maybe he wants to go to City. Like maybe he does want to do that, but he's not going to say it because if he does say it, then Man United's not interested, and then maybe City don't need to pay as much money. If he does want to join Man United, and the same will be true that City will then move on to a different target, and Manchester United might be able to get a better deal. So it's really tricky. If Elliot Anderson said, "I want to join Man United," I think we would see then the situation would be exactly the same as the Mateus Fernandes deal. We would probably be sat waiting for Man United and Nottingham Forest to agree a price, and maybe Nottingham Forest would play the long game, hoping to get more money out of Man United, the same way that Mateus Fernandes is. So I think we might. I don't think we're going to see this deal resolved like quickly either way, unless City or United do actually offer, say, too much money as well. Like Jules says, it's annoying, isn't it? It's a really annoying situation at the club, but and it's an annoying situation in football. But he can't come out and say he wants one club because it does weaken his bargaining power. And also, if Manchester United or Man City pay over 100 million, there's probably going to be a significant kickback to Anderson, like from that deal as well. So he'll get more money out of it. So it's just unfortunately there's not really much we can do. Like because City are interested and they pay high salaries, it means Elliot Anderson, like he might want to join Man United. So I don't know. I think at the moment people are guessing what he wants to do. A lot of people that think he's going to go to City come out and say, "I think he wants City," but I don't know. It's going to resolve one way or the other. I've got a poll in the chat at the moment, so please vote what you think is going to happen. I'm kind of ruling out. I don't think he's going to stay at Forest. That would be really unlikely. But you never know. Like you never know. Do you remember when Victor Osimhen we thought, where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? He's going to go to Chelsea. He's gone to Galatasaray. And then the season later, everybody thinks Victor Osman's going to go somewhere else. He stays at Galatasaray. So I don't know. Some things can happen like that, and it is a bit unusual. But I think in this instance, because the two teams interested are right near the top of the Premier League, it feels like he's going to go. Like we have seen definitely that Nottingham Forest are a selling club. They want to get deals done. They want to get these deals. So the only thing I can think of is if we see any sort of stories regarding, has anyone seen any stories regarding Nottingham Forest signing midfield players? Because they were talking about getting Hackney. I think what we saw then was that it went a bit quiet, and then maybe, I think maybe the difference is going to be that Everton were looking at Hackney now, so maybe Nottingham Forest also want to try and get, like, if I was Nottingham Forest, you need to make sure you get your midfield player signed as well. So this is going to be something that we might need to look out for. If Nottingham Forest get a couple of players in the door, they'll want to do those deals before Anderson leaves, because as soon if Anderson leaves for 100 million and you're going to sell players that Forest want, you're just going to add extra to that price. So we might see that Forest try and get. I think Forest might be trying to get the deals done into their club first and then sell Anderson. So that for me would make a lot of sense. And it might be that Everton are also looking at potentially, Everton might sell Garner. That's something to look out for as well. And maybe they're looking at getting Hackney in as well. So Hayden Hackney was rumoured to be the replacement for Elliot Anderson. And we haven't, if he goes to Everton instead, maybe Nottingham Forest need to rethink that. So there is going to be a few twists with this one, but that's something I think we should look out for as well. Look out for Nottingham Forest signing players before Anderson leaves. And so, just in Carlos Baliba, and I forgot Baliba was a football player. We just not talked about him for so long. He has discussed the possibility of joining Man United with some of the club's players, says Samuel Luckhurst. I think the ship may well have sailed for Baliba unless we're looking at potentially. If Baliba's going to be a Man United player now, it's going to be a much cheaper deal than it was rumored to be as well. So I don't know. I don't know. Is Anderson even a starter in his first season if he goes to City? I suppose with this one, if you look at like who's going to be in midfield at the moment, you got Rodri. Rodri's going to be the main guy there, but I'm trying to think who else. It depends what formation is City going to play as well. But in terms of attacking players, where would Anderson play? Anderson wouldn't be the CDM because that's Rodri's role. And if you're looking at attacking players, again, I suppose we'd have to look at what Maresca wants to do. I mean, Pep did try a few different things, but you could say that you got Cherky, you got Rangers, like attacking midfield options there as well. Maybe he's going to replace one of those options. And like Bernardo Silva going, maybe he's going to play more of an attacking midfield role at City. But again, I think at City, you could be in the mix. I'd guess that he would be starting from a lot of games, but Gregory, I don't know. City's one of these teams that if they bought Anderson, would they then look at getting Enzo as well? That would Maresca be looking at some of the players he's got at Chelsea? I'm kind of slightly surprised that they're not linked with someone like Caicedo or someone like that. That they could be looking at potentially raiding Chelsea for a couple of players. I mean, Chelsea people look at their midfield and say they've got a very good midfield there. Why not look at moving some of those players to City? I don't know. So no, I think the simple answer is there's no guarantee, is there? There's no guarantee. You'd imagine that there's pretty much a cast iron guarantee at Man United, but again, we'd have to see. Say Rice with 100 million, say not in the Forest owner will want a record transfer. So you reckon 110? I think United can pay it, but it would mean that potentially that we might have to compromise a little bit. Now, if Mateus Fernandes genuinely costs like 70 to 80, then do you remember when we were talking about a month ago that we can get three midfield players signed for, and we were guessing like 180? Then that's not going to happen. If Man United spend 100 million or 110 on Anderson, only 35 on, only 35 million pounds on Edison. But maybe then you have to look at a cheaper deal. So maybe you would have to look at another player that's going to be, I don't know, if we can get Angela Stiller for that sort of money, that's possible. If we're looking at Hackney or James Garner or something like that, maybe we could be looking at those sort of deals. I don't know. The one that kind of like jumps out at me is like, can we get Alex Scott for a sensible price? That would be, if we got Elliot Anderson, Alex Scott, and Edison, that might not be too bad either, considering that everybody thinks Anderson's going to be the starting player. So we would be looking at maybe having backups off the bench. So I don't know. I think Elliot Anderson and Mainey would be a really exciting midfield. Particularly Bruno Fernandes there as well. So this Belieber saga is that I think United have gone very quiet on that one. I don't think Man United are talking too much. So I wonder if Semenyo and Gahey had clauses in the contract if 115 happens. I honestly no idea, Don. I mean, contracts are confidential. I mean, a lot of teams have relegation clauses, don't they, in some of the deals? But we saw that Mateus Fernandes doesn't seem to have a relegation clause, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see regarding that one as well. Phil says last you saw was Hackney is between Everton and Crystal Palace, and say, wow, 25 million. I think I saw I'm trying to think who it was now. I thought Ipswich made an offer for Hackney last year after they got relegated. They made an offer for Hayden Hackney of about 25 million. So if Everton think they can get the deal done for 20 million, to be honest, that's ridiculous. Like Hayden Hackney should cost more than that. So if he was 25 million, bloody hell, I'd be all over that deal. I would get that deal done. Like 25 million, that's too cheap for Hackney. I would say United could get him for 25 million if he plays at any sort of like major role in the season. You could probably like sell him for 40 to 50 anyway. So I think 25 million is too cheap for Hackney. But again, I'm accused of being, what's the word? Quite what's the word? Positive towards Hackney. I think he's a decent player as well. Yeah, I don't think there is going to be anything in the Belieber deal. I don't know. I thought maybe a couple of months ago there might be something, but I just don't see it's too much on that one as well. So the difference, I suppose, the difference is that Schneider and De Jong did not want to join. Belieber seems desperate to leave Brighton. So again, maybe with some of these players, you need to actually with some of these players, maybe they need to have clauses in their contract that if a certain that release clauses are generally they're not mandatory in the Premier League, are they? So most players do not have release clauses. Maybe for some of the players signing for like Brighton, Brentford, if you think you want to leave the club or you're seeing it as a stepping stone, but I got to say like with Belieber, you signed a professional contract with Brighton, then unfortunately you're going to be bound by that contract and you're going to have to stay at Brighton. So maybe I would say if Brighton mess it up and Belieber's kind of staying and unhappy there, the only thing that's negative regarding that one is going to be that potentially, and potentially regarding that one, it might put players off from joining Brighton. So, yeah, if Brighton have a big problem with Belieber and they have sacked the director of football, I understand. If they have a problem with Belieber, then is that going to put people joining off from joining Brighton? It might do. It might do as well. Now, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe for regular Manchester United updates and conversation. If you've got any thoughts and comments on the news, we've been discussing the stories today that coming out from actually Nottingham sources as well. So I did actually speak to Talk Forest TV last night. He was in the live chat when we were streaming and we're talking about Elliot Anderson news. And he was saying that pretty much they're not going to budge on their valuation of 100 million. So in terms of this one, and probably the positive news from Man United is that this deal seems to be being pushed by Jim Radcliffe. Jim Radcliffe is able to, I'm sure, like he's going to have some say on how much Man United can spend in the transfer window because Ineos, as still an owner, they have put money into the club. They might be willing to put more money into the club in terms of trying to get some deals done. Potentially, they do have this credit facility that they have paid back a bit, but if they're looking at investing a bit more, they're looking at trying to borrow a bit more to get these deals done. I know there's like a complex situation regarding the club's finances, but the fact Jim Radcliffe is significantly involved, for me, it's going to be one where this is probably going to be the one deal where if Man United could get it done, and I do say this, I still say this is going to be a very difficult one, but if United could get this deal done, it would be the first time in ages that Man United have actually got a deal done that people were surprised by, and it's the when was the last time Man United actually beat City to a player they both wanted? I can't even remember. To be honest, we got on this one, so I'm a bit surprised by that one. We have to, so it would maybe change people's opinions on Manchester United if we could get these deals over the line as well. Big up to you, Gregory says member milestone resets itself this month, so I don't know regarding the member, but thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being a channel member, Gregory. It says United need many players, not just 4 or 5, but say 10 or 11 to reinforce them. I think 10 or 11, like 10 or 11 is not going to happen, is it? I was hoping actually that maybe with Manchester United, maybe we could get, like I said this as a guess, Man United should get as a minimum like 5 players in as a minimum, and that would be 3 midfielders, a left-sided defender, and probably a left-sided attacking player. And actually, I was really interested with Jules streaming last night as well. Maybe I'm a bit close. No, I think it's okay my end. It might be like an internet thing or YouTube thing. No, but when I was talking about Dorgu, and I'm quite positive about Dorgu as well. Maybe Dorgu is actually going to play as a right wing option. If Amajalo, let's say Amajalo is struggling a little bit, but if Mbeumo is the backup option for Benjamin Sesko, maybe when Benjamin Sesko, so maybe when maybe when Sesko is not playing and then Mbeumo is playing as a striker, maybe we're going to see a situation where Dorgu's going to be on the right. So I was going to say, like, Dorgu might very well be 80% on the left, 20% on the right, the same way that we might see Benjamin Sesko. He's only going to play as a striker, and maybe Mbeumo is going to be, like 80% on the right, but maybe 20% as a striker. So we could see Manchester United have a bit of flexibility. So maybe we're not going to buy a backup striker, and maybe Cunha plays like 75% or 90% on the left, and maybe like 10 to 15% as a striker as well. So we could be seeing Man United look at the forward lineup in that way as well. So that's what I'm thinking regarding this one, saying like that maybe what we're going to be looking at is Manchester United might be using like Benjamin Sesko will be the striker at the club, but maybe we're going to see Mbeumo play there like for I don't know 20% of the matches he's played in, and maybe we're going to see Cunha play a little bit there as well. So there is potential with that we might be looking at, and also when we're looking at a new attacking player as well, we might be looking at someone that can play on the left or play a striker. So again, I think a lot of us are looking at it thinking, "Oh, we're going to get a backup striker," but maybe we're looking at players that are going to be more versatile. So yeah, it could be that Dorgu is a left winger or a right winger, and it could be that every player in the front line, apart from Benjamin Sesko, maybe every attacking player we got is going to play multiple roles. So that's something that I think could happen, and it's something that United have talked about regarding versatility. I don't mind too much regarding that one as well. Let's say top teams like PSG have got real depth, not afraid to swap out Dembele, bring on a replacement, and say we're going to seek to build 2 credible options in each forward position. Maybe that's what's going to happen then. I think that at the moment, like in terms of credible options, do we count? But do we count Sesko and Mbeumo and Cunha as like the forward options? And then on the left wing, would we count Dorgu, Cunha, and a new player as an option? And then maybe on the right, we've got Dorgu as an option now as well, but also we've got Mbeumo and we've got Almajalo. So maybe we're going to have a couple of options in each position, but maybe what we're going to see is that we're going to have a bit more versatility from our front line. I mean, I have said like quite a lot of times that I think United should get a backup striker, but I'm just wondering whether we're going to actually do this as well, take this route. And Bowen from West Ham, I did actually hear that Man United might be exploring something on those lines, but I don't know. I don't know. With Bowen from West Ham, I think at the moment Man United have got so much problems, so many problems dealing with like, the Mateus Fernandes one. I don't know. To be honest, I do not know. Big up to you, Anthony Buckley. It's been a while, my friend. Hope you're keeping well, and good to see you back in the chat as well. So no, I'm good. I'm good, Anthony. I'm actually fairly relaxed about the transfer window because at the moment there's so many stories, so many stories say what Dorgu in goal. I think Dorgu will play everywhere apart from in goal. I think, to be honest. No, at the moment there's so many stories that I think that we have to wait for something to like significantly happen because it feels like all the balls are up in the air. We're just waiting for one of these deals to land, aren't we? If Man City actually get Anderson deal over the line, then 100%. A lot of people predicted that, and it would not be a surprise. It would be a surprise if Man United were able to hijack this deal. That's what I'm saying. If Man United did do this deal, it would maybe transform the way we look at the market. But it does feel a bit like if I was going to guess, I'd still say like what 75% City get the deal done, 25% Man United. But this is like a it's like a Roy Keane, isn't it? It's gonna be like the 11th hour, isn't it? We're gonna have to really if we can sell the project to Anderson and City trying to get him fair play. I'll be pretty impressed regarding that one. So you're hoping Dorga plays on the left. So step this one, say inverted wingers, not United away, says Don. So I was looking at thinking like the goal he scored coming off the right. I think that the probably the good thing I've thought about regarding Dorgu is Dorgu carries a goal threat, doesn't he? When a player carries a goal threat, it does mean that defenders respond differently. So if Dorgu's, I do think Dorgu will be on the left as well, Don. I do agree, but I think with Dorgu, he will let he will force defensive actions because you cannot let Dorgu shoot from distance. We've seen what he can do, and I think for that one, it does mean that he will draw defenders out to close down a shot, and that will open up passing options as well. So if Dorgu can work on his passing as well, again, I think we're saying a lot about a 21-year-old. I think he's going to be. I think there's a lot of levels for Dorgu to improve. I'm not going to say it's a finished article, but I think he's got something fundamental that I like in his game. He's got significant goal threat. I do think he's an exciting player as well. So for me, that's going to be positive. Anthony says I'm not really worried about transfers. We already have one good deal, so one deal good to go, and the window isn't open yet. So give the Suits a chance. They did pretty well last summer. Yeah, I've said something similar as well, Anthony. That when we're looking at doing the transfer stories, obviously at the moment there's loads and loads of stories out there, loads of things, and I think you just have to. If you remember last season, if you remember all the stories we talked about, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, there was like Welbeck, there was like Vlahovic, you got trying to think who else there was. There was Ekitike. There were so many players linked to Man United, about 10 goalkeepers linked. And when you look at it and break it down and go, right, which deals actually got done? The deals that got done made the most sense overall. So, like, Man United have been linked to, I've lost track of midfielders, but you've got Mateus Fernandes, Tonali, Anderson, Tierney, you've got Alex Scott, you've got Tyler Adams, you've got Joe Gomez, Baliba, like there's Wharton, like there's so many different players. Angela Stiller, Agume, Bawadi, all these players linked to Man United. And at the end of the day, we're going to sign three of them. We signed one, Edison, so far. Edison looks like a cheap signing. It looks like it could be sensible business. We might see him in the World Cup. We might see him like warming the bench in the World Cup. We don't know at the moment in time how it's going to work out at Brazil. But we could see Edison actually play decent minutes in the World Cup and see how he gets on in that competition. And then we got two deals to get done in midfield, and there's so many links with like Newcastle and Hall and lots of other left backs that, to be honest, there's not many transfer stories I've seen regarding Man United where I've actually thought, don't get that deal done. It feels like the club kind of identify what we need in the squad, and it looks like we're looking in the right places. So I'm not overly concerned. But again, like I said, we're going to have to evaluate deals as and when the club, as and when the club gets them done. I think to be honest, I think Man United have generally been trying not to say too much, but I don't think Man United are trying to put too much information out there as well. One of the things you could say is that Manchester United are making it hard to find out information. Agents of players are working overtime to try and get information out there to make their client look better. So Romero's story was like probably one example. Like Romero's agent, he wants to sell Romero. Romero wants to leave. They link themselves to Man United. Less than 24 hours later, Man United saying like this is like bullshit. Where there's no interest in this player at all. So no. Jill says like options like striker, Sesko and Buemo, left wing, you got Cunha Dorgu, right wing, you got Buemo Dorgu, and Amajalo as well is in there. And so I think we've got one, if you're looking at this one, then I think what you're looking at here is that one player could come in, could be a left wing player who could be like played alongside Dorgu if Dorgu switches to the right, but also it could be a strike. I think when we're looking at, I think Adiemi was linked very, very tenuously. I think Diamonde's been linked as well, but very expensive. And I think these players can both play on the left. There's a kind of speculation that they could play striker as well. So I think we're looking at that as well. Yeah, people are definitely using this as well. People are linking Real Madrid to everyone as well. And said, Anderson, it will come down to the player. If he wants City, they will pay. If he wants United, then it looks like we will pay. I do agree. I do agree with this one. Like Anthony, all the power is with Elliot Anderson, and it's up to Man United to essentially try and convince him that Man United is the best deal as well. So Cody says you think it's 60-40 in favour of City. Big up to you, G Wolf. Quality show last night. G Wolf, good to get you in the chat as well. Now, this is why I was saying that, and I'll go for a couple of stories to people that just joined the chat as well. That the difference here is that Man United, this is some of the sources coming out now are in the Nottingham media. So in terms of like Nottingham Forest, some of the publications and some of the most recent stuff I've seen this morning is coming from Nottingham Forest side of it, and they're talking about Jim Radcliffe, and also a couple of other journalists have been talking about Jim Radcliffe as well. And it seems to be that if Man United are going to push and go very hard in this deal, then Jim Radcliffe's going to be the driving force behind it. And this for me is like, this is potentially positive because it does mean that if Man United lose out on Elliot Anderson, it will not be because Man United have tried to lowball, and it will not be because Man United have just not been at the table. I think with Semenyo was a deal that maybe he wasn't interested in Man United because there was a title push for City, but also Man United were looking at other options for left, and I think that we did say he was a top target, but we didn't seem to be in the conversation at all. Apparently, apparently we were going to offer a lower salary as well, and I think that the Mark Gay situation, I don't think Man United were prepared to spend 300k on a centre back salary either. So this is the first player where I've actually read news where Man United look like they're actually happy to have a battle with City, and if City offer 200k, 250, Man United will be at the table going, yeah, we'll offer the same amount. So, um, if there's what would be I did see one person say that you're trying to sell. What's your backup option, Vril? Who are you pivoting to? I mean, aim high by all means, but you have to have a backup option. I think in that case, I'll say no matter where he goes, Forest are the winners. Absolutely cracking business by them. I know. I think with this one, like Newcastle United, I was talking to Philip from Toon Tactics TV on the channel about, I think it was like, trying to think when it was now, was it last week or the week before? And his thought process about the situation, because Elliot Anderson was obviously a Newcastle player, and Newcastle United were forced to sell him for about 35 million because they were facing a points deduction for the financial situation as well. So this goes to show that Newcastle got messed up by the rules that they were following, whereas Man City could be looking to buy Anderson for crazy money, and Man City, let's see, allegedly, but it looks like they've broken quite a lot of rules as well. So playing by the rules, if City now play by all the rules, it might make it more difficult for them to do these sort of deals in the future. But I agree, Anthony. Nottingham Forest are going to be cashing in. If you think about last season, then also they sold Elanga for 60 million. And I'm trying to think, well, did Nottingham Forest sell anybody else last season? But Elanga for 60 million. If you look at 110 for Elliot Anderson, now these are both great deals, aren't they? Really good deals. I think. How much did we sell Elanga for? I mean, I thought it was like something like 15. I can't remember if it was much more than that, but they made a big profit on Elanga. They're going to make a massive profit on Elliot Anderson, potentially like 70 million plus profit on Anderson, which is crazy in a couple of years. And it might be that they look at selling Murillo. Again, they're going to want very big money for him. So, no, Nottingham Forest, they're going to have loads of money to spend. the point I was making as well, Morgan gives White. I mean, the point I was making as well is that I think Nottingham Forest need to make sure they get some players in because if you remember Newcastle, and like, sorry, Newcastle fans, but I'm just using your club as an example of how not to do transfers. If you look at the Newcastle situation, they sold Isak quite late on, and the players that Newcastle bought were not as good as Isak, and they cost a huge amount of money. So Newcastle got it wrong last year. I think Nottingham Forest will be mindful they can't do the same sort of thing. So let's have a look at some of the chat as well. So going through some of the conversations. So yeah, if you could subscribe if you're new, and if you're able to share the stream as we're live, that'd be really good as well. Looking at a few of the comments, I'm not sure what Berber's on about at all. Too many Tonali, says Anthony. They could. We need to move on from Anderson, says Malps. Come on, Malps. I don't think we can give up. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say he's going to join Man United, but we can't. Yeah, we can't give up at the moment as well. Anthony says they could buy a decent team from overseas for what they sell three players for. They could 100%, couldn't they? They could look at. I'm just thinking that they could definitely look at a few options. I mean, Hayden Hackney, they were looking at. The thing is, if Nottingham Forest sell Morgan Gibbs White, Murillo, and Elliot Anderson for very, very big money, then they're going to have to. They're probably going to end up paying a bit more for some of those players they buy, aren't they? As well. So, what do English players think about joining City? I suppose like Jack Grealish never looked like the player he was at Aston Villa, did he? But I suppose Jack Grealish, I don't know, he probably took the money, took the trophies, and maybe there's going to be a few things that motivate you, isn't it? One is going to be you want to win trophies. I mean, that's the reason why Man United got Teddy Sheringham and Van Persie. You go to Man United to win trophies. The other thing is going to be you get some glory and success, and the treble winning season. Like Jack Grealish is probably going to maybe he didn't enjoy the day-to-day football as much, but he got to play in a very successful team. So maybe that's enough for him. I think Phillips is probably the example where you move to City, effectively his career, like no one knows what he's been doing. Like his career kind of ends. So it's going to be like a bit 50-50. If you're in the first team, it's going to be great. But I remember like Mahrez going to go. Mahrez was a key player when Leicester won the league, and then going to City, he's just barely used. So no, I think with this one, it's very much a case of like, if I was going to pitch the offer to Anderson, I'd say right, come to Man United. We got a number 7 shirt, which could have your name on the back of it. You could be looking to lead Man United back to where we want to be and go for a title push in the next couple of years. Like we should be looking to try and get close to that sort of level. And someone like Anderson, for me, it's like a no-brainer, isn't it? That whatever you think is a sensible salary, just offer it and then try and get that done. Yeah, Jack did well, didn't he? Jack did well. But what I'm saying is that can Man United actually offer like the glory and success that City do over the next 5 years? That's probably going to be the probably at the moment we've got one good season in terms of like finishing third, but we need to build on that. Like this can't be an anomaly. So if we got someone like Anderson in, my initial reaction would be right, Man United, we're going to get Champions League again next season. Can we get closer to a title race? Can we shock some people in Europe? Like can we actually try and kick on? And I think Edison, Anderson, maybe if you got Mateus Fernandes done as well, it's gonna be a hell of a lot of money. But to be honest, like Man United's midfield does need that spend, and maybe we're gonna have to compromise a little bit on the options we get. I'd still think we're going to get 5 players signed. I just don't know if we're going to spend as much money on the left back as we want to. There could be a way of like strategically planning these deals so that if you're going for younger players, the books will look much better in a few years' time, won't they? When we're looking at these ones as well. Who broke the Romero story? To be honest, I have no idea. I think um, Malps. I don't know, but I'd be inclined to guess that it's going to be Romero's agent, but I don't know. I don't know. It got quashed very, very quickly, didn't it? So Yeah, I'm not sure. Given how nuts the market is, imagine trying to buy a top striker. Like Thiago would be about £70 million, wouldn't he? That's going to be a benchmark. So yeah, I don't think so. I don't think. So selling point should be we can fill Old Trafford for a charity match. Empty had us more away fans most of the time, and so United fan base is on another level. Look at how many extra followers Edison got just by signing for Man United. Actually, I don't think it's been like done deal properly. They haven't signed the deal properly, but Edison got an extra 30k followers, I think, overnight for joining Man United. One of the things I was going to say regarding your comment, Anthony, because this is actually factually correct as well, was that I read something actually. One of the things I don't know if you've seen this, Anthony, but recently we did some call-in shows, and I can't remember if this was actually no. If you remember, we did a call-in show on Sunday, and one of the people that joined was called JR. He's been a regular viewer on the channel for a number of years. And when we're talking about he lives, he must live, I think he like not far from Manchester, but he's a season ticket holder, so he goes to Old Trafford every week. And he was saying that he was around Manchester, around the Etihad Stadium. I can't remember when it was, and he said that they were actually offering pretty much like free tickets to get in to fill the ground. And I think it was a European match. So he was in that area at that time. He said he went to watch Man City for pretty much free because they needed to fill the ground. And he's a Man United fan, but he thought, free European game, I'll just go and watch it and see see how the game goes. So no, it is true that they can't fill the stadium. They don't have the support, the local support. So that, and also, if you look at it this way, if it's about money, like say if it's about trophies, then it's difficult for Man United to make the case on previous years. If it's about money, then if you want to get endorsements and you want to get effectively being at Manchester United will elevate his sort of status in terms of getting personal deals so much it's not going to be a problem. Randy says Anderson will be a bench warmer. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you one more minute to vote, and then I'm going to close the vote and then have a look at what the vote is at the moment. So I think it's going to be very close. So if you think he's going to be a Man United player or a Man City player, this is something that we can repeat the vote in a few days' time, or if a significant story comes out, we can repeat the vote. But this is just to guess. What do you guys think? Okay, at the moment, if I was going to guess, based on what's happened over the last few years, I would probably still guess City, but I think Man United are not out of this race. But until it's a done deal, sealed, game over, I think United have got to try and get this deal done. And I think we've got to get this deal done by essentially making Anderson a really good offer and sell him the project, like I said. So if you want to vote, please do so. If you're able to click the like as well, please do that as well. That would definitely help. Yeah, not bad actually. Not bad, Vril. I don't know how old you are, Vril, but that's a that's a pretty solid option. I'll say that. Um, you can make an argument actually that either one of those options is actually really good. So they actually gloated about giving free tickets. You don't give out free tickets if no, exactly. So JR went to watch City for free. Um, yeah, to be honest, actually, that's something that no one's ever really mentioned. That okay, so considering what happens if Anderson picks up an injury at the World Cup, really good point as well. Really good point. That he's worth a lot of money, isn't he? So I guess with like Forest, it's a bit of a bit of a risk, isn't it? It's always a risk, isn't it? If you've got players on big money, if you're going to be if you're Brighton now, and an offer comes in for a player that you want to get £80 million for, but you get an offer of 65, 70, you might have to start actually taking that because we've seen now Evan Ferguson, they wanted £100 million. Now he's got injury issues. His career might be, in terms of like a top transfer target, almost finished. So it's too risky, isn't it? Really too risky. So at the moment, it looks like City is leading, but it's very, very close. So anyone want to vote at the end? Any new people want to vote in the chat before I close the poll? Let's have a look as well. So let's close the poll. So this is the vote on where does Anderson play next season. So again, I can't vote, but if you want to say why you voted for whatever reason you did, please do so as well. So where does Anderson play next season? City 44%, United 43%, Forest 13%. To us, my question is going to be okay. Just to address the poll. If you voted Forest, why do you reckon you'll stay at Forest? I think Forest are going to be cashing in. Like the only reason I can see him staying at Forest is if if something happens at the World Cup where he gets some sort of knock. That's the only thing I can see keeping him at Forest. I think Forest are 99% going to sell, and I don't see any other option as well. So yeah, looking at that one, so it looks like City is slightly favourite in terms of Man United fans, but it is close, isn't it? Like Man United are maybe not out of the. Say what Lucky says, Victor Gyökeres part two. I remember this one though. I don't remember the energy for Victor Gyökeres from Man United last season. Like there was definitely loads and loads in the Portuguese media, but I don't remember the hype from Manchester United side of it as well. So we'll have to see regarding that one. I think it's going to be a bit tricky. Gregory says that you still got faith that Anderson will be our player. So the fit here is perfect. The thing is, like Man United, like you can just look at Elliot Anderson and go, drop him into Man United's midfield, works perfectly. And I think for Anderson, we can United can pitch to Anderson and say, come to Man United. You can see how it's going to work out. It's going to be absolutely perfect. And for me, Anderson's played for Nottingham Forest. They've got a bit of history. They've got a lot of like character about the club as well. If he looked at Man City, like realistically, I don't know. It's not the same, is it? It's difficult to say, isn't it? In terms of football culture, you're going to play in front of Man United, where you're going to have 75,000 passionate fans. You're going to potentially move to a 100,000 seat stadium in, like, say, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years. But he could play like another 5 years in that new stadium as well. So, it's for me, it's like I think it's too good to turn down. Like worst case scenario, like very worst case scenario, regarding this one, then I think the worst case scenario is that Anderson can join Man United. If it doesn't work out, he's got time to then move to another club. If he thinks it's not working at United, I think if you go to City, that's it. Like he won't be going to Man United. Man United will buy different midfielders. So, would Sir Jim Radcliffe give Anderson 300k per week? I think so. I think so. Like, I think there's no reason why Man United would not match whatever City are prepared to offer. And also, just because Man United have been slashing the wage budget recently, for me, the reason for cutting the wage bill is like you cut the wage bill for players that are not worth the salary. If you think Anderson is going to be a game changer in your team, you pay the money. So I think with Anderson, Man United would look at it and go, right, 300k a week for Sancho is bad business. 300k a week for Eddie Anderson is a good deal. So I think that's the difference here. I think that United will look at it and go, this is a good deal. Elliot Anderson, 300k a week, will get this deal done. So again, like 300k a week, it's not about the same for everyone, is it? It's about which players are worth that sort of money as well. Yeah, this is true. Like so, Cody, there's a lot to be said about this, isn't there? Also, what midfielder wouldn't want to play with Bruno Fernandes and Mainu? Exactly. I mean, it could be that even like Mateus Fernandes wants to play with Bruno. If you're looking at Elliot Anderson now, Elliot Anderson played against Man United on like the penultimate day of the season, didn't he? He saw a Manchester United team that was creating chance after chance after chance, and we ran through Forest in that game. And despite Elliot Anderson having a very good game, he must have looked around Man United and looked around the stadium and thought, damn, this is a team that's on the way up because we had a team that scored a few goals against Forest. We could have scored a few goals more easily, and on a different day, that could have been like a 6-2 game. And Elliot Anderson created two fantastic chances for Forest. But apart from that, we were destroying Forest in that game. We were creating so many chances. Can you imagine, like, if you're looking at him and going, right, if you're not convinced by the project, Man United played Forest, say, last couple of years, Forest have been a very difficult team for us. We've struggled against them, and we're completely tearing them apart. And he'll know that Man United are going to be buying better players next season. He knows Man United are on the way up. So, and he knows that he's going to walk into this team if he joins Man United. So, I think there's like so many positives in this deal, isn't there? And Mike says Marinakis has set the price too high at 125 million. So this is overinflated, and we will have to. Do you think this one is that? I think the price is like too high, like really, like really too high. But I think also the Mateus Fernandes price is too high. And even people were talking about Edison and thinking, 1 year on his contract, like the age is that. Is it just going to be that every single price is going to be deemed like too high? Maybe in terms of the pricing, maybe what we're seeing here is that the money from like the Champions League, the money from like the World Club Cup, the money in terms of like TV deals, that I don't think any of the players are worth the money we're talking about. But maybe what we're seeing here is that every club is actually a lot more wealthy. So it it's just a situation that maybe maybe we're going to be seeing something along this one as well. Um, okay, let me go through a few of the comments as well. So Real said you voted for Forest bidding war backfiring. So it could be, it could be. Maybe what we're seeing here is that the bidding war backfiring, but we saw it. It backfired a little bit on like would it backfire on Mateus Fernandes? I don't know. I think with this one, the bidding war backfiring. I think what it means is that I don't think Man United and Man City both walk away, but I don't know. He's going to go, isn't he? And I think it's very difficult to guess the price. Like all we can see is that so all this proves is that City PR is working better than ours at the minute, says Andy. Yeah, it could be. It could be. And say, what if Elliot Anderson's on the bench behind Declan Rice? But if he's yeah, what would happen if Elliot Anderson doesn't even play in the World Cup? If he gets benched, uh, is that going to affect the price? So I don't know. United need to spend. Big up to you, Mike in the chat says United need to spread the finances over a few players rather than blowing most of the budget on one player. So I would say that United, yeah, we've got a lot of issues to address, haven't we? Not just midfield. The question, I suppose, is that at the moment that we don't really know how much Man United's budget actually is. So if Man United's budget was 250 million, then spending 100 million would be like, wow, that would be like 40% of your budget gone on one single player. If Man United's budget's actually higher, then maybe, again, maybe it's cost effective. Maybe it is possible. Maybe Man United's budget would also be dependent on a Rashford sale, a Xerxes sale, and a Nagate sale. So maybe those players being sold. And actually, if you think about it, we've got the now we've got the money from Rasmus already done. That's the 38 million pounds in already. So that deal's already been done. So maybe United have got more money to spend than we have. I don't know. I don't know. So let's double check. But there should be a stream tonight. I'm thinking I can carry on a little bit longer if people got any comments and questions that they want to discuss. I'm kind of like able to do another like 10 minutes. People want to. So should we do another 10 minutes if people have got some questions as well? So question from Gregory. So Manchester United interested in Dragusin from say centre back slash right back at Spurs. I'm not sure at the moment. When they talked about the Romero deal, they were saying that Man United are not really interested in centre backs. But I guess there's always potential that Dragusin might be linked to Man United, but again, I'm not sure. I believe too many stories regarding the centre backs linked. It's just that United have been. I think Man United have just been linked to a lot of players, so I'm not sure. When they said the Romero story was nonsense, I think they were implying that Man United are not interested in any centre back. So, and with that, Gregory, I'm not. I don't know. As far as I can tell, I don't think so as well. Big up to you, Don, in Spain. Always good to. Any question for Don actually, because you're in Spain, is any news coming out from Madrid regarding anything in terms of like big money spending after they got their presidential election wrapped up? Like, is there any truth that Real Madrid may look at Mateus Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez, or try and get a deal done for Rodri? Or at the moment, I don't really see too much in the media from Real Madrid, but I guess if you live in Spain, depending on where you are, you might see loads of stuff that. To be honest, though, Elliot Anderson's a bit older than Mainu, so I would not worry too much about this one as well. But I think the contract situation as well, that Mainu got a big pay rise coming through the club. I'd imagine with that one that if Manchester United spend 300k again, we don't know if they would spend 300k. We don't know if that's actually the amount of money that Anderson would be getting at City. This is kind of all speculated as well. So it might be that if City do think that's worth paying for him, and maybe Man United do have to pay that for Elliot Anderson, then again, like he's a bit more experienced than Mainu. I don't see it being a problem either way. Mainu will be getting a big pay rise in the future. It's not a big deal, is it? As let's have a look at the comments as well. So you need to sell Manuel Ugarte. Yeah, Manuel Ugarte is going to be gone, isn't he? So again, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much money we get for Ugarte, but that would be yeah, that would be definitely something that happens as well. I think Xerxes is another player that apparently Man United are looking at. Like if Xerxes leaves, that gives us like some of the money to get another player in as well. So these players will get sold, I'm sure. And actually, maybe that's something that we'll focus on at the moment. Most of the news, actually, in terms of what I've been reading, most of the news has been linked towards players we're trying to sign. I've not really seen too much recently about Agate, and I've not seen too much about Xerxes. But maybe we're going to find out. I did read something recently that I think it was going to be that Bayern Munich would be happy to pay a bit more for Marcus Rashford, but we'll have to see. I think Perez has actually won. I think that's happened, Gregory. I mean, unless I've just read something and misinterpreted it, but I'm pretty sure Perez won with like a decent majority. So I think that's going to be that's the thing. So I think as soon as that happened, that was the green light to get Mourinho in, and that was going to be I think that was going to be the green light then to keep too many at the club as well. So was it 65%? So yeah, I think it was significant. I was going to guess it was roughly like 2-1, but he got a 65% majority. So all good regarding this one as well. Yeah, if anyone's got any final questions that people are talking about, I did see a comment earlier saying that do you call it Ineos or Jim Radcliffe? I think in terms of like overseeing the football side of it, it is Ineos, and I think Ineos tends to be coming down to Jim Radcliffe. So I think in terms of like if you're looking at someone that's pushing this deal to be done, clearly Jim Radcliffe needs to get. It's not just him; it's going to be people under him like Wilcox, Barada, and everybody else in line with this one. But in terms of this one, like the data is good for Anderson, the performances are good for Anderson. In terms of like top target, he's got to be up there as well. So I think that Jim Radcliffe's been talked about because, yeah, like it or not, he's pretty much the figurehead for Ineos, isn't he? So when we talk about Ineos, we're probably talking about the Glazers are going to be supposedly a bit hands off in terms of what's happening in the deals, but certainly they're going to be, having a say regarding this one. I would say this: that intelligent comments are always welcome in the channel, and to be honest, they make it better for everybody if you post intelligent comments. Say big up to Mr. B as well. Good to see you in the chat, Mr. B, as well. Um, So we need a backup striker like Tony or Thiago. Like, have you done that deliberately, Mike? Because you just mentioned like a couple of one ex-Brentford player, another Brentford player. Just as I welcomed a Brentford fan to the chat, he says we should buy. He said buy Belieber plus Fernandez for the same price as Anderson, which no, maybe that could happen. It could happen. It could happen. I think Fernandez is going to probably be. I think Fernandez and Belieber would cost more than Anderson overall, but I think you could get. Yeah, you could get close to it, maybe. You could get close. If Anderson costs 110, maybe about 40, 45, 50 for Belieber's a top price. Maybe you can get Fernandez for like 60, 65. So you could get close for that one. Backup striker, my guess is going to be that the backup striker will be effectively a left winger that plays striker. That's my guess. Again, it is going to be a bit of a guess as well. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. We need to sell Xerxes, Dallo, and Mason Mount, plus the goalkeeping duo. Well, yeah, I think we need to sell Laurel Hardy, don't we? That we definitely can't keep two semi-professional goalkeepers at the club. So I think we're going to see. I think Anana's like going to be going, but I'm pretty sure that I think Bindia is like almost like 1.9 feet out the door as far as I can see. I think Bindia is going to be gone. I'm pretty sure that's like almost a done deal. So um, I don't think it's a problem. But no, Xerxes is going to be gone, surely, isn't he? I think based on your list there, I mean Dallo, I can't think that Man United are going to sell Dallo at the moment because they can't replace everybody. I think you might look at say Mason Mount. I think I'm going to say this now. I think Mason Mount if Man United get the midfield deals done, we need to get done. I'm thinking Mason Mount might be loaned out, so I'm going to say Mason Mount loaned out, but not sold. I mean, who's going to buy Mason Mount? I don't think so. So we'll see about that one. No, I was mainly referring to Thiago that say Xerxes might end up being a staying and being a backup for Bruno. Oh no, don't say backup for Bruno. Like oh no, oh, I don't know what to say. Like if we're gonna have a backup for Bruno, I would put Ahmad Diallo, Cunha, um, Mason Mount. Who else is at the club that could do that? I think there'd just be like a big list of people first. Like Xerxes, I don't know. I think Xerxes too slow. I think that's all I can say. So also, I think like Vril, like, I'm not gonna say anything nasty about Xerxes because he looks like a nice guy. I think with Xerxes, I think Xerxes wants to leave. Like if you look at his body language and look what's happening, I think Xerxes wants to play professional football. And again, I think Xerxes needs to rejuvenate his career away from Man United. This is not a negative thing on Xerxes. Like Xerxes, it's not his fault that the Premier League is a tricky league to play in, and it's not the easiest league. I think Xerxes will just find success in a different league. That's all I can say with Xerxes. I wish Xerxes the best of luck wherever he goes. I like Xerxes. I think there's nothing negative about the player in terms of the personality. I just don't think it works in the Premier League. That's all I think. Yeah, Xerxes, it just doesn't work, does it? Like again, it's not. I don't think Xerxes can do anything different. I don't think it's Xerxes' attitude. It's a bit like when Sebastian Veron and Jago Forlan. They were really, really good players in different leagues, but they just never really did what they're capable of in the Premier League. So, yeah, Xerxes will move on. I won't say too much more about this one as well. You know, why don't we want to take Missing Mount? He's only 250k a week. It's literally a bargain. But I think he's going to go to Coventry City, though. I think that's going to be. I think there's definitely someone there that likes him and will take care of Mason Mount again. I'm not sure how long Mason Mount's got left in his contract, but I'm guessing he's going to wind down for free, isn't he? That's what's going to happen with Mason Mount. We'll just say goodbye, Mason Mount as well. Yeah, Xerxes is a good guy, isn't he? Like Xerxes is not like Benjamin Sesko. It's a different energy. I think Sesko had the ability. Sorry, not Sesko. I think who's the guy I keep trying to forget about that's gone? I've forgotten his name now. But you know what I mean? The player we got from Sancho. Sancho had some ability, but had the worst application. I think Xerxes just couldn't really handle the Premier League. That's literally it as well. So lack of pace is a killer. Do you know what it is? Like I think if you look at the spectrum in terms of like how quick players react kind of mentally, Bruno Fernandes has got to be the quickest player in terms of like Man United. The ball comes to him, he's spraying passes off instantly. He's like a killer on the ball. He's really, really good. If you look at Xerxes, he's just like doesn't have that kind of like speed in his game, and it makes him look a worse player than he is. I really think that as well. So no, it's just a bit unfortunate for Xerxes. But we'll see. Regarding this one though, I think Xerxes, like potentially in a different league, I think Xerxes does quite well. But we're going to have to see regarding that one. It's not going to be that easy for him. But now maybe we could be looking like with Xerxes, maybe we could get some add-ons in that deal, and maybe if he goes somewhere else, we see some sort of benefit from that, and maybe Man United can get maybe we can get more money out of Xerxes than we actually realise. So there is a potential that if he goes to a different league, works out really well, maybe Man United can get potentially a bit more money from the deal. So again, with Agate, I think Agate might be one of those players that he might look better in international football than he does at Manchester United. So maybe if we're looking to sell Agate, maybe after the World Cup, like maybe after the World Cup, it could work out slightly better. And Lucky Singh says Inter Milan, Roma, Napoli are like teams that are interested. So it could be, couldn't it? It could be that we're looking at potentially those deals. And it might be that this is the first year actually for ages that I believe Man United will get a bit more money in from transfer sales. Mr. B, come Mr. B, look, he said prefers the blue sky, but does Elliot Anderson prefer half empty stadiums? Like, does Elliot Anderson want to play in front of a crowd that's been given free tickets midweek when they're playing big European games? I don't know if he does want that. I think he wants to. I think he wants to join a club with a significant fan base. That's what I'm thinking as well. So let me jump through a few comments. Yeah, so Di Maria exactly. Like Di Maria is different, like different levels too. Like Xerxes is a good guy, isn't he? But we've had some people like that as well. So Coventry will take any player. Maybe they want to go back down. Well, if they're going to take any player, then we could send them Xerxes and Agate. But I don't think Xerxes would go there. I think Xerxes is going to hold out for a move back to wasn't Xerxes like one of the players of the season in Serie A? Or am I making it up? I think he was like really highly rated. So we could get decent money for Xerxes. Coventry though, maybe Coventry could take Bayern off our hands for a bit more money than we're going to get from, and maybe they could take. To be honest, I think maybe this one where if Mason Mount goes to Coventry, maybe we could loan an academy player to Coventry just to give them like a slightly better player as well. So we could do that. I think that would be quite good of us. I'll say if every price is 80 million, we should put Mount, Xerxes, and Agate up for sale. So I like the idea, Pulp. Maybe we can get. I think we can get good money for Xerxes, like in a different league. And I think Agate needs a good World Cup. Then I think we can get. Yeah, maybe we can break even on that one. That's what I'm going to say. So, um, but I agree. Like Pulp 76. If every price is 80 million, this is kind of my thought process. If every price is 80 million, then you may as well spend big and get Anderson. If you're going to have to spend 80 million pounds, if you're going to have to spend 100 million on Tonali, you may as well get Anderson for the same sort of money. Let's be realistic here. It looks like Tonali is going to cost 100 million, and I think Man United were considering, if Eddie Anderson's 120 and Tonali's like 70, 75, you got a significant difference there. But if they end up costing roughly the same, I think Anderson's a better option. So again, I mean, we could put an 80 million pound price tag on Mount, but I think we probably struggle to sell Mason Mount if we put an 8 million price tag on him based on his salary. So I think loan him to Coventry, get it off there as well, absolutely fine. top uh, top three rival players you hate. Alan Shearer from the Blackburn era. Cucurella from like modern, there's quite a few actually. I think top rival players that dislike. I think Alan Shearer definitely when he was a Blackburn player because he was too good. I think generally I hated the better players. Stevie G, but he was too effective for Liverpool. Recently, I don't know actually. Probably Luis Suarez actually. Luis Suarez from Liverpool. I think he's just an unpleasant individual. So I'll say that as well. Is this? Let's have a look. So, what's the realistic price for Mason Mount? I don't think Mason Mount will sell. Like when I was studying, he wouldn't sell for 8 million. I think he's on a quarter of a million a week salary, so I just don't think he'll sell. So El Hadjifa, I think actually Joe Barton and Luis Suarez are definitely in there in terms of that. You could probably put I don't know Dennis Wise is in there. Jeef, I'm not sure. Like, is there a reason for Jeef? But Luis Suarez and Joe Barton should be in that list. I think for different reasons. I'm trying to think of any other examples. No, I say for like professional reasons and like being too good in the team, then I think Alan Shearer was like and Steven Gerrard were this one, but no, they're good ones. For some reason though, I just find Cucurella really annoying, like really annoying with Cucurella, and it's not. He's a good player. There's nothing negative about him in terms of like football. It's just that I think he might be one of those players that you like him. Um, I think with this one, I think that Di Maria had some issues off the pitch, didn't he? I think Di Maria's house got burgled into. Again, I think Di Maria is kind of similar to Alexis Sanchez, where they both regretted signing for Man United and then they wanted to leave. So honestly, I don't know what you can say. Mo Salah says Randy. Mo Salah was like really good, wasn't he? So I think with Mo Salah, Stevie G, Alan Shearer, I just disliked those because they were just very very good players. So if anything, I think it's going to be for the players I've disliked. It's an endorsement of the quality of those players. So I only disliked really good players that played against us. To be honest, yeah, Dennis Wise was like just a bit. I don't know what to say regarding this one. Carlos Tevez, yeah, maybe Carlos Tevez as well. Actually, Martin Keown definitely. In what when was it like 2000 and like three or four something like that? Yeah, when that the 1-1 game. Was that like it was a draw, wasn't it? Van Nistelrooy missed a penalty. Luckily, we like beat the crap out of Arsenal shortly after that one. But no, yeah, you're right, Craig. Just there's some players you just don't like, and that's one of the reasons. I think Martin Keown like just was annoying as well. Jose Mourinho considers Mateus Fernandes a top priority for Real Madrid. Mendes is working to take him to Madrid. Bloody Mendes. Didn't we like do? Wasn't Mendes the agent of Agate? Like, is that true? Because I thought we did a deal with Agate to get the Euro deal done. Like, Mendes is going to be a pain. It's going to make it difficult. But I think the Felix Diaz one is that a writer for the? I'm trying to think. Is that a Real Madrid based journalist? Because that name does ring a bell, and I think that's going to be one of the people that's been pushing out stories recently. So yeah, that could be. I think that could be paper talk from Madrid's point of view, but I would not. I would be surprised. I would be looking at this thinking that Mendes would be like for Mendes just wants to. I think this is going to be Mendes's game. So if you're looking at the Matheus Fernandes deal, I think Mendes's game is going to be to try and talk up sources linking Matheus Fernandes to other football teams, primarily Real Madrid as well. So I think so as well. Yeah, again, don't waste your time hating other players. There's a lot of them. So Gabriel got Gabriel got a bit of justice in the Champions League final, didn't he? So and also was it Gabriel that got bullied off the pitch by Maguire? So yeah, Martin Keown, it's a bit annoying. Ian says yeah, Tevez is motivated by money. Yeah, I remember watching Tevez live. Tevez was like incredible athlete around the pitch. I think a few people were expecting that maybe we get the same work ethic of I think like what you see from Tevez as an attacking player, you might get that from Edison in midfield as well. So that could be something. Mondo Deportivo, they're actually like quite good, aren't they? I'm trying to think regarding that one. I think they're quite good in terms of like some of the sources. If there's going to be like a couple of sources, I would say at the moment, if you're like kind of researching news and looking at Man United stories over the last couple of weeks and in the future, I would be looking at it thinking that some of the Italian sources, some of the more historical sources, have actually been quite good at the moment. So I think Aston Villa and Spurs looking at Marcus Rashford. I think Bayern Munich are maybe potentially front runners for that one as well. I think United would be. Well, I don't think Man United would care too much if he did play in the Premier League, but I think Rashford would want to go somewhere else, and maybe Bayern Munich would be. You know, if he's won a title at Barcelona, I think Bayern Munich would be a good option for him if he's looking. But Bayern Munich, there's no way they're going to pay his salary as well. Yeah, exactly. Mendes owes us one. I think definitely, definitely this one. Who would Perez go for? If you're going to go for like, I think Real Madrid want an exciting player, don't they? So if Real Madrid want an exciting player, Kvaratskhelia would be the guy. But there can't be any way that PSG let Kvaratskhelia go. Like, I'm not sure how many. He's been there for a couple of years, hasn't he? So I don't think that's going to be possible as well. So yeah, you look. Paul Gascoigne's like an interesting one. I mean, Paul Gascoigne wasn't going to be. I think Paul Gascoigne wasn't really playing in the Premier League loads, was he? Like he got that free kick for Spurs, knocked out Arsenal, and then was that en route to winning the FA Cup? I can't remember now. But then he went to where did he go? Was it Bari? I can't remember. He went to Italy shortly after. But no, yeah, I think you're the same as me, Gregory. You tend to dislike rival players that are actually very good footballers. Like you've not missed, you've not really mentioned like any players on there that are not significantly good. So again, I kind of dislike players that are good quality players as well. So if anyone's got any final questions about anything we talk about today, we've hammered Anderson, but I'll say if you just joined the stream, please subscribe if you're new. We do seem to be stuck on the same amount of subscribers, but there's a very good community here. It's just about trying to grow it a little bit. But I'll just say if you've got a final question that we haven't covered, but I think we've like probably done the rounds regarding Anderson. Maybe what we're going to see is that if I do a stream tonight, it might be about 8:30 ish, potentially with like a guest. But if maybe we're going to see a bit of maybe we'll see some breaking news. Hopefully regarding that one as well. Lazio. I should have remembered. I was just trying to think. Like I knew that Platt went to Sampdoria, and I was thinking that, but I forgot about that one. He did get a lot of injuries, didn't he? Random fact, I used to work with somebody that went to the same gym as Robbie Savage, and she was doing like kickboxing in where was it? It must have been close to Leicester. She was from Leicester, and she went to a kickboxing club in Leicester where Robbie Savage was. Must have been like in I say is in his heyday when we was playing at Leicester City. So she knew him from she didn't know him, but she was at the same kickboxing club Robbie Savage went to. She just said he was like quite physically weak. I mean, I'm guessing like must have bulked up a bit since then, but they were doing like strength and conditioning. He wasn't the strongest. I think he was like 90% hair at that time. I think actually Robbie Savage. I'll say this about Robbie Savage: a lot of people don't like him. That's probably true. He probably made the most of his career considering the ability he had. I think Robbie Savage, like he managed to have quite a good football career considering he wasn't technically gifted or amazingly skilled. So, fair play to Robbie Savage. At least he made the most of what he had. Like some players don't do that. Am I saying this? No, I'm just saying that he wasn't particularly strong. Like she was like doing like press ups and like the sort of thing you're doing when you're talking about like if you like the strength and conditioning stuff you do in terms of kickboxing training. She just said he looked a bit weak. So I was just thinking at the time he didn't come out as being like particularly strong. He's probably bulked up a bit since then. He did the sort of rolling that I've not seen since like the 70s and like Brazil, like heyday, like World Cup kind of videos from like years gone by. But yeah, I don't know. Robbie Savage. I think it's a lot of acting, but he probably had the pain threshold like Drogba on a bad day. Um, no, but somehow though he actually managed to have an okay football career in terms of like, no, he wasn't. No one would say he was great, but he did manage to actually play football in the Premier League for a long, long time, didn't he? Um, Right, guys, there might be a stream tonight. It depends on news, and it might be myself and G Wolf. We'll have to see what we're going to be doing, but it might be that what we do is something slightly similar, depending on like breaking news as well. Big up to you, Gaz. Good to see you in the chat, Gaz. If you've got any questions, Gaz, I was about to wrap up, but if you've got a question as well, we'll go for it. But what are your thoughts? I did a poll, and the vote was where is Anderson's going to go? Okay, this is obviously like a guess for us, but where's Anderson going to play football? And 43% of people voted for, I think United. I think it's 44 or whatever it was. Like it was a very slight win for City, and 13% of people voted he's going to stay at Forest. But it looks like at the moment it's almost 50-50 regarding this one as well. I didn't like Alan Shearer. I didn't like Alan Shearer as a football player because he chose to go to Newcastle. That was about it. And I didn't like Alan Shearer because he was just too good. He was too good for Blackburn Rovers, and it just annoyed me. This one. I just say if people are using fake accounts, they just get deleted. It's really not worth the hassle of that one as well. So I can't see us getting Anderson, says Gaz. I think the negotiations are likely too far along with City. Do you think that we might be seeing? But I'm going to say this, Gaz. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I get the feeling that he's going to be a City player. I'm just wondering whether if Man United get him, it's going to be a bit like a Roy Keane Blackburn situation where Blackburn Rovers and Man United at the time there was only two teams in the title race, wasn't there? And it was about trying to get Blackburn had a big budget, Man United had a big budget. They were both trying to get the best player they could, and I think at the moment if Man United win this deal to get Anderson, that might be in the future where we draw the line and go, actually, this was the one deal where Man United actually overtook City. Like if we get Anderson and City don't get him, and Anderson chooses us, we're probably going to have to you know, match whatever City pay, maybe pay slightly more. But if we did get this deal though, I think that would be a bit of a game changer in terms of what people think. So we'll have to see regarding this one. Alan Shearer had the most boring celebration. The annoying thing is, though, we saw that goal celebration way too much. Way too much. Who's your worst pundit? Oh, there's a lot, isn't there? Oh, if I was going to say off the top of my head, Gary Neville's annoying. I think, who is it? Is it Michael Owen? There's a couple that I've kind of blanked them out of my mind, but there's a couple that are quite bad. Trying to think. If anyone wants to put any lists in there of people that you think, because there's someone that I was trying to think who it was that's annoying. Annie McCoyster's quite good. I'm trying to think who it was that annoyed me. There's a few commentators that are quite terrible. I'm just trying to think of who it is off the top of my head. It could be like Michael Owen. Could be Gary Neville's definitely up there because Gary Neville's so negative towards Man United. So Neville, Alan Smith maybe not problem. Keown, that's actually Martin Keown is one that's really bad. I quite like Rooney actually. I think Wayne Rooney talks about somebody that genuinely cares about Man United. Like Wayne Rooney's not going to be the most charismatic speaker, but I think Wayne Rooney is someone that cares about Man United. He's got his children in the academy, so he's got a vested interest as well. But I think Wayne Rooney is actually quite balanced. He knows what it takes to be a Man United football player. He's quite I think he's quite understanding of the pressures at Man United because you have to be in that environment to this one. But also, I think Wayne Rooney is genuinely honest. I think Wayne Rooney says like if you look at Wayne Rooney throughout his career, the one thing Wayne Rooney is he's pretty straightforward. he'll say what he thinks. I don't think he's got any hidden agendas. I don't think Wayne Rooney needs to court any attention. Wayne Rooney just says what he thinks, and I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be, what's the word, an honest pundit. So, Scholes is the worst at the moment. Yes, Scholes. I think Scholes is trying to be relevant. I think Wayne Rooney doesn't need to try to be relevant. I think Wayne Rooney is just talked about because people respect Wayne Rooney because he was one of the best players we've ever seen, and he knows what it's like to be at Man United. He knows what it's like to be a superstar as a teenager as well. And guess what? Wayne Rooney's never really been out of the limelight since he's broken into football. So, and also when you speak to Wayne Rooney, he just sounds like a normal person. It sounds like if you're looking at it, then as Pulp says, Rooney doesn't give a shit. He just exactly. If I listen to Wayne Rooney talk, I think Wayne Rooney says what he's thinking, and when you listen to it, it sounds like quite straightforward, and it's not going to be any sort of agenda as well. So, Rooney's a bit political. So Rio's a bit political. I think Rio's obviously he's got like his podcast and he's got Rio. I think Rio actually doesn't talk too much nonsense. I think if you listen to when you see Rio, Ryan Giggs, Evra, I think they are quite knowledgeable on the pressures at Man United and the abilities of some of the younger players at the club. And I think with this one, I think with Wayne Rooney, if you see Wayne Rooney talking about Man United when we finished 15th, Wayne Rooney looked like he was genuinely hurt by what's happening at Man United. And the same way like with Beckham, I think Beckham is along the same lines as Rooney. If Man United are doing really well, like David Beckham's a Man United fan, isn't he? I think Rooney also has the same affinity for Man United. So again, I think if you speak, there's probably like a list of players, but they're not generally in the mainstream media, are they? And you could say David Beckham, actually Berbatov as well, Patrice Evra, Ryan Giggs, Wayne Rooney. Those people generally say positive things about the club as well. I mean, Rooney doesn't really have to generate attention, does he? Like Rooney doesn't need to. Rooney's not after clicks and likes and things, is he? Rooney just says what he thinks, and I think they care about Man United as well. So, like Gregory says, yeah, I think the ones that I like listening to about Man United are the ones that still have an affinity about Man United, still care about the club, and they're genuinely not happy that the club levels fell as well. So I think the ones I like the most are probably going to be like obviously David Beckham's like a massive fan of David Beckham as well, so I can't say anything negative about David Beckham. But David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, you look at Ever as well. They're ones that I think are going to be like decent ones. Yeah, as like Bilal says in the chat, I like the ones we don't generally hear from. We don't generally hear from that. I think Wayne Rooney said a few things recently about things at the club, and I agreed with most of what he was saying as well. But again, unfortunately, in like a lot of things, the ones we hear from the most are probably the ones we don't want to hear from. So again, probably like Gary Neville. Probably I'm trying to think who else. Gary Neville, Scholes, Roy Keane. We always hear from them, but to be honest, they're just overly negative about the club. Even when things are going to be, even when things are going well, like have been going well. I know people have different expectations and different like metrics for what they consider to be good, but I just don't see. I don't see why there's point in being like for Michael Carrick, for example. I don't see why there's a lot of negativity from Roy Keane. Like, okay, it's fine to make your point, but just like move on after a bit. And say Rio's just clickbait on legs. I don't really mind Rio, but I don't tend to watch that as well. And like Gaz says, he doesn't watch. Yeah, with this one, I don't tend to listen to Rio. I don't dislike him as a player or person. So no, I think with Rio, he just says what he says, and to be honest, that I don't really listen to him too much. I think because he's doing podcasts, I think Wayne Rooney cares about it more, so I'd listen to him more as well. But say it's fine talking about standards, but they never called the Glazers out. And now we're starting. Yeah, when we're talking about this about a year ago, and we're talking about the Glazers and Ineos, then the people that don't say much as well, like Eric Cantona cares, but he tends to keep it. He's quite low key in terms of that. But in terms of people that would want to see Man United back to how it used to be, I think that Eric Cantona, say Beckham, probably Evra, Wayne Rooney. I think they're the sort of people that would care a bit more as well. But I who does he commentate for? So I'm not. A lot of commentators that are quite good. I tend to like just not even notice who it is. I kind of notice the bad ones as well. No, but before we wrap up today, I was going to say big thanks to people that have been supporting the channel since we restarted a couple of months ago. Thank you for the people that renewed the membership and the people that posted that as well in the chat. Big up to Bilal, super chat earlier. I'm going to try and do something tonight, maybe about so probably 8:30, but it might be a bit of a shorter stream and that, and then when the World Cup comes up, we are going to be doing some watch alongs. I think G Wolf will be doing a lot of those, but we might get another guest on as well. So, and also personally, I'll be not quite so available for a few days for just other stuff I'm doing at home, but that's nothing dramatic. That's people visiting. And what we're trying to do is maybe at the moment, as things are a bit, there's a lot of news. There might be like we do one stream at 1 p.m., one stream at like 8 p.m. at night, and then maybe we cover the World Cup. I'm not sure if we can do a 9 a.m. stream at the moment because it just takes a lot of time to plan for the streams. So it might be like that at the moment as well. Peacock, okay. So I don't tend to get that as well, but maybe in the World Cup, I'm not sure which side I'll be watching. It'll be on mainstream media in the UK for sure. I'll just say with this one, there's not a lot of moderators on the channel anymore. There used to be back in the day. There used to be like 20 plus. At the moment, there's like I think there's about seven to eight moderators on the chat. But no, the moderators do a really good job. So United gave his career a big boost during lockdown. Who is that related to? Um, no, but big thanks to people supporting the channel. Big thanks to moderators doing an excellent job in the chat as well. Debasta says you can never have enough mods. No, I haven't changed the moderator situation for months because they're doing a very good job on the channel and making it a nice environment for people that come in and chat. Jim Proudfoot's a great commentator to the pub. I have to be honest though, I tend to notice the moderator, not the moderator. I tend to notice the commentators on that annoy me. That a lot of this one as well. When you're looking at football matches, I think Ali McCoist is quite good commentator because I think he's a football fan in general, so I don't worry too much about what he says. But he seems to be enjoying the matches as well, so it's all good. Um, I would fire I would fire all the referees and VAR officials in the Premier League and get other people to do those jobs without years, decades of bias. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know as well. Yeah, I quite like McCoist. To be honest, I'm not sure if McCoist is biased anyway. I think Annie McCoist seems to be neutral, a passionate fan. He's got some good stories. He seems to just enjoy. He just seems to enjoy football, doesn't he? So I think as a football fan, Annie McCoist is like. I think he's a good guy. Again, I think he's just one of these people that likes enjoying himself. He likes to entertain, and I think he's a good commentator. So it's a good balance for me. McCoist is a good commentator. He knows about the game as well. He's enthusiastic. So was he getting a lot of grief? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's getting a lot of grief. He just seems to enjoy his job. You know, when you have a commentator that just seems to enjoy being there and watching matches, I'd much rather that than a commentator that moans and complains about the matches. So I think Adam McCoist is I think he does a good job. And uh, if he gets bored of like mainstream stuff, then Annie McCoist is like welcome to come and do watch longs if he wants to do some watch longs with G Wolf, and maybe that will elevate us to the next level. That would be quite funny. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about Big Ron. Big Ron obviously crossed the line, didn't he? Before that though, Big Ron did say some quite funny stuff. But I'll give you that. Big Ron just used to have like very weird Ronisms, didn't he? So, but yeah, no, he definitely shouldn't have said some of the things he said. But guys, hopefully back to this evening. Like I said, there will be slightly fewer streams in the next week, but thanks everybody for supporting the channel. And big up to the members. Massive thanks to the moderators as well. Thanks everybody for the sensible comments and questions as well. It's been a long stream, but I might try and do slightly shorter streams again over the next few days. Just in Fergie time, you take Tonali over Anderson. However, we can't start that again. We can't start that again as well. We will go back to this at some point. Maybe tonight. Like John, if you see something you want to talk about, John, if you see something, leave a comment on the video when we finish to go live, because myself and any guests tonight will cover that. Until then, guys, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.